Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're live streaming. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're going.
Hello.
Hey, we started yesterday. Since I had a young lady who's already finished with the program, but getting ready to test. We did a review from 1 to 25. It is on live stream. We will pick that back up today. We'll do like 26 to 50, but that's after we go over your chapter 3, okay? So it's kind of like 2 parts today. I hope you're doing well.
Yes, I'm doing good. I'm on the struggle bus today, but I'm here.
All is well. Let's relax. Let's gather ourselves. All is well. Okay, I think somebody's coming in as well. All right. So for the individuals coming in, I really just said that we're going to do chapter 3 and also continue on to part 2, 26 through 50, as it pertains to that study guide. And so we'll start here with these slides. This is, again, a short chapter. And so we'll proceed with these slides. This is basic teaching skills for career education instructors, and we're on chapter 3, teaching, study, and testing skills, which again, we're going to see a lot of. Should definitely be one of those highlighted chapters. The critical concept: master educators know that character is shaped by learning, so they help shape a student's character by acting as a learning catalyst, okay? A learning catalyst is something that has a little extra force behind it, a boost to get to where we need to go. So you, as the master educator, you know that character is shaped by learning, so they help shape a student's character. So we're here to help shape the student's character and become a learning catalyst. We're here to boost them. Desired performance goals is list and explain reading skills, list note-taking and highlighting skills, explain 15 characteristics for effective studying, avoiding 5 failure habits, identifying key elements in developing a study group, and explain the importance of training students in test-wise strategies. As the master educator, your job is to enable students to learn success behaviors at the beginning of every program. Work cooperatively with learners to reduce barriers to learning and teach student and test-wise strategy. Teach study and test-wise strategy. Ultimately, that's our goal. This is how students begin to retain information. And we do this at the beginning of every program. Okay, here's what the support system looks like. Space setup. Space setup is going to be important. Establishing a routine, eliminating distractions, establish priorities, communicate with educators, motivate and encourage the learner, get involved, be a role model, provide positive reinforcement, and just become a realist, right? An overall realist. Reading skills, the time allotment, skim first, have references handy, use concept connectors, reread, and evaluate. So I wanted to pin here as far as educators. Let me tell you the biggest conversation in some of the cosmetology instructor groups are educators reading out the book to the students. It says be a realist. I'm going to encourage you to find your own learning style, find your own teaching style, but do not rely heavy on reading to the students, okay? Or asking, okay, you read this part and you read this part, you read this part. The Department of Education, NACAs, that's accredited agencies, the schools, bring it down to your directors, your director of education and classroom evaluators. Reading is a concept that's used when individuals are not prepared for class. I'm gonna just say that. Okay, so you want to have those lesson plans. You want to have a daily report of what we're going to do. Already have a plan together. If part of your lesson is them reading, for say they have so much material, reading is done at home. So you can have some aspects of reading, but you cannot ask them to read. Okay. The biggest thing with that individual saying that they were embarrassed, the literacy issue that we have going on, many people feeling shamed and things of that nature. If those notes are taken into consideration as they should be, they will deem investigations. Okay. And here's the thing, as far as schools receiving federal monies and things of that nature, it becomes discriminatory because this person can read and this person cannot read. And so you cannot say, as a educator, on this side, adult education, you cannot say, Timmy, you read. And Timmy starts to read, and Timmy says, the truck is, I don't know that word. And then people start laughing. That is that's the class kind of getting off track. So we can't do that because even adults, we know adults have learning literacy issues. So this is why so much we just kind of figure out, watch them, how do they learn, making sure you're up to par as well with your reading skills, and finding a way. You can use window painting, you can use notes, you can use so many other things, but that is a thing now that's being addressed. It's currently trending right now, from the CE I taught all the way from some of the groups that I'm a part of, individuals getting written up, reprimanded for asking adult learners to read, and the learner saying, I'm paying to come here to work and to learn, not to read over something I read at home. So just being mindful of that. That's one thing that's going on right now. But as an educator, you do not wait and say, hey, if we hire you, I'm going to teach chapter 3, and that's all I'm going to teach as it relates to chapter 3. Our job, our commitment is to go above and beyond. And so, even though we're here at this level, we should always seek to enhance ourselves from continuing education, reading skills, all of that, to make sure we're just better in the classroom and we're just elevating who we are and bringing value to who we are. So we must make sure that our reading skills are up to par. Time allotment, skimming first, and sometimes we have to teach them what we know because they may not have gotten it in school. You cannot just say they should have learned it from school. They came right here out of high school. But I'm going to tell you something about Tennessee. We have the No Child Left Behind. And what I start to see real fast is No Child Left Behind, which means passing any means necessary, even if they can't read, even if they can't count. So yeah, you got 18, 19, 20-year-olds, but they're reading on a fourth grade, fifth grade level. The book is written on written on an eighth grade level in most cases. So they're not even reading to keep up with the book. And then we're asking them to, so sometimes you got to gauge the classroom. Many times they don't tell you that they come off of IEP. So they were in specialized classrooms. And we don't ask. And so we, it's like my job as a cosmetologist. Yes, and you're a cosmetology instructor, and we have to teach study skills. We have to teach reading skills. So we have so many individuals. I know y'all have been there where people say, I just don't read the text message because it's long. I had someone said they weren't going to read my email because it was long. Don't read it. You're going to get written up. It doesn't, all because it's long doesn't mean anything. You have to make sure you read. So read, skimming through things like that. I know plenty of people that said they don't read text messages if they're long. Some people just get turned off from a lot of words. So when you identify who those individuals are, you can teach them skills such as highlighting, skimming, looking for certain words. Those are connectors, rereading certain things, and evaluating it again. underlining and highlighting, which is a best system for me. I do like creating a system of the yellow and highlighting. For me, I like to use yellow, but I adore other colors as well, but mostly yellow. Anything that relates to a term is going to be highlighted simply because that's understanding the definition of the word will help you understand the questions. Everything is going to be for test forward. So I always stress checking questions with my students. I always stress the terminology and highlighting. Note taking. As an educator, I can't remember everything. I can't carry my book around. I can have the book there as a reference as needed, but I do try to come in early, and my keynotes for my lesson plan are going to be on the board. My actual lesson plan may be on the board, such as from 9 to 9:15, this is what we do. So I may have a gridded schedule that's on the board, like a calendar for today, and it helps me keep track. And then I also have sometimes I take the board and put all the notes on the board. If you've been in the industry, you know what you're talking about. You've went through the book several times. You don't really need to book all the time because you've read it tons of times. But I do need to know the notes, the key points that'll keep me on track. All right. So if I see they say at 12 o'clock, we're going to be talking about the law of color from 12 to 12:15. I know that law of color front to back. So I can talk about that law of color until that time and not go over and then prepare for break or prepare to move to the next thing. But it just keeps the gauge. It keeps everything gauged. Let me make sure. Okay, audio is on. Making sure audio is good. So I love taking notes. Think about what is heard, device shorthand, designate and recognize cues. The notes that I sent you guys was an audio from yesterday, but also I take notes just from the note category of the phone. And then reminder notes for discussion. I would do window painting where I would draw pictures. And for the visual students, drawing the shape of a nail and then discussing the parts of the nail is fine. So things that I can draw, I draw just to kind of bring the visual aspect in. And then also on the board, I would use different color markers if I'm doing notes. And the different color markers will really help change the eye. Give the eye this it will stimulate the eye. Okay, hold on one moment. Okay. So we designate and recognize cues, look for clarity, reminder notes for discussion. So as an educator, we are building these characteristics for ourselves. So it's not just more than going in there and showing them skills. You have to really prepare, develop yourself to go in there and be able to teach and recognize some of their study skills and test skills as well. Let's look at note-taking skills. I love mind maps. A lot of times this is how when you hear someone say flush out an idea, this is how I flush out my ideas. I will put that idea in the middle, and then I will start building branches of what it's related to. Okay, building branches of what it's related to. And a lot of times this is where I would say, okay, if I'm going to talk about let's say yesterday I was teaching about classroom barriers. So if classroom barriers is something that I'm teaching about, I'm going to put that in the middle. On the outside of the lines initially, I'm going to name dyslexia, ADHD, ADD. So those would be my 3 areas that I would stay in. From there, I would go and say, okay, let me get 3 notes about dyslexia, 3 notes about ADHD, 3 notes about ADD. I'm starting to build from there. Okay. Next, I can kind of grab questions from there. And before you know it, I've built a class summary or speech or talk about classroom barriers involving those 3 major things that I mentioned. And also, this is how I flush out ideas for my everyday life. A lot of times, I don't have to have someone. When this is when people say, "Let me run something by you." I don't have to have people to do that. It's always cool, but most of the time, I can't even talk to anybody about stuff until I have clarity of what I'm talking about or what I want to bring to life. And so mind mapping is something I draw on the board. And if we're talking, I'm always going to say hair color. If we're talking hair color, or if we're talking, I'm a teacher class with a friend. It's called Pixie Pop. And so if we're talking pixies, I'm going to put pixie in the middle, the haircut and hairstyle. Then I'm going to draw lines from there. We're going to talk pixie cut, pixie color, and pixie styling. And from there, from each one of those, I would draw 2 or 3 notes, and we'll continue to build from there. Before you know it, we have this whole lesson built around the pixie where we'll talk about the cut, the style, and the color. And when we get to each one will have 2 or 3 points to discuss. And so sometimes I bring that to life on the board. And I teach students how to do it because it allows them to get everything out and to give them a little bit of organization of thoughts. So everything is just not all over the place, but it kind of, okay, let me get it out of my head. Once you get out of your head, you can decide what you want to use, what you don't want to use. But I love organization charts and particularly mind mapping. When to study, okay? Having your students study during peak performance time. Consider sleep habits. So a lot of times we don't even know that we are educating the students because we're asking about, did you get any rest last night? And sometimes I'll say, well, how many hours do you get? How many hours of sleep do you get? Okay, because it could be a lack of sleep, could be restless nights, could be different things that are going on. Remember, we're not just there to teach the skill. We're there for the long haul. Okay, take advantage of different opportunities to study. Their spare time, relate time to tasks. This is going to be easy because this is where we start to push them and elevate them and not have so much time spent on certain tasks. And maximize prime time. Okay. For me, when a student wants to learn something, especially if we say, hey, on Fridays, we're going to learn something new on Fridays. When you learn something new on Fridays, I tell them you're not going to get it in one day. Or if we're introduced to something, some people will get it right off and some people won't. I have to continue to say, hey, if you touch that mannequin every day before you go to bed, that's putting in the work. Eventually, the days will go by, weeks will go by, where you're going to get better and better and better. So I do talk a lot about putting in the work, studying, and this goes for the educator and also for the learner. Let's look at 15 study habits. You may be able to find yourself in some of the things that you do. Take charge. Define personal values. Set and prioritize goals. Show up. Get correct assignments. Establish a schedule. Pick the place. Okay. Look for a suitable study environment. Some people can do this outside. Man, I remember when I could do this and I wasn't tripping on the grass, itching. I didn't have certain allergies develop. I remember when I could do this. I don't know if I can do that now. Okay. I would definitely need to have something laid out there, or I'm looking around for stuff crawling and stuff. So some certain individuals have different ways that they study. Give me a table or give me a couch and a little throw, or you give me a table with enough space to spread my items out, I'll be just fine. If you give me the floor, I am gonna lay down. I am gonna lay down, belly, lay on my belly, and I'm gonna work. Okay, so that's really pretty much, you give me a couch, I'm good. I may fall asleep, but I'm gonna go back to work. But mostly a table and chair and just space to move around is good. Continue study habits, adopting a mascot. Stand up and look away. Don't plan a diversion. Okay. Sometimes we give up and we plan to escape. Divide work into many assignments. You can't do it all at one time, and then keep a reminder pad. Okay. Something that says, hey, go back, finish this. Your alarm's always good to hold the alarm. Tackle the difficulty, and expect respect. Expect respect. You can bring these into the classroom as you begin to introduce and bring these into the classroom. Don't be surprised if some students are saying, this is the first time that anyone have ever coached me on studying. They've been through all those years of high school, elementary, and you will find that insufficiently they've been taught. They've just been going throughout the motions. Continuing 15 habits, reward yourself. Reward yourself. I was really, and I'm still kind of really big on rewarding myself. I bought a weekender bag maybe 5 years ago. And I felt like that was a major reward. We had met our student goal. We had met a lot of goals that month. And I rewarded myself with that bag. And when I tell you, that bag was expensive and it hurt me to purchase it. I don't know about y'all, but my mom was like, you better not take it back. You deserve it. So I bought that bag, and I still sitting there and look at that bag. I haven't bought another bag. No, I haven't bought another bag since. I probably haven't bought a purse in maybe 5 years, because when girls know what they want, pretty much nothing else matters until you get what you want. And for me, maybe I've been kind of hard on myself. I just feel like I need to reach a threshold before I go and reward myself with that type of gift. So I have rewarded myself with dinners and things like that. But as far as like major purchases, I just feel like I need to come to another level. And some call it discipline, but for me, every time I don't reach that place, is feel like, oh girl, you're not going hard enough. That's personally with me. But yeah, I do reward myself in smaller things. I probably need to go up a little bit. My teachers, I rewarded them. It's time for another reward. I'm thinking maybe next year. They did a big surprise on Zoom. They all jumped on Zoom. This was still in COVID, but coming out of COVID, and the school had been going through a lot as far as we would come in, stay in a week, and we have to go back out, just simply because COVID, people coming in, us not knowing really what the forecast is. The teachers were having anxiety about all the students being in the building. And I mean, it was a lot to consider. And then people were coming in sick one day, or coming in and the whole family was quarantined. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So we had to deal with a lot. And in a promotional to really figure out where they were and recommitment, we did a surprise trip to Houston. And I told them we came to Houston really so you can get a breath of fresh air. And we came to Houston so you can actually breathe without the students. We came literally for a meeting. And so the rest of the time was their time, and then we'll head back out. But that was the reward. I think I need to figure out another reward system because I haven't probably did a goal rewarding in about 5 years. Maybe time to do something else. But how do you guys reward yourself when you have reached a goal? What's a recent reward that you guys have done? You've allowed yourself to enjoy. Have anyone had a recent rewarded themselves?
I did like a full self-care day. I did like acupuncture, I got a massage, pedicure. Went to a place that had like red light therapy. And I think it was just because I just had been working hard. Like it wasn't a specific goal that I reached. Well, I guess you could say just the hard work. Um, I was seeing the result of my hard work. So I guess it's that. But yeah, I had a little self care day in February.
Well, self-care day, that's the beginning.
And for me, I guess I could say the same thing, a self-care day. I took the day off of work. I went and did waxing for the first time. Me and one of my co-workers. And I had purchased me a purse because I typically don't never really buy myself anything.
Okay.
And I just said, you know what, I'm going to try something different.
Wow. And so there you go. I need to um I don't know. I need to do something, but most of the time I want to go somewhere. So I be thinking, don't buy that. You can go here. Don't buy that. So a lot of my rewards are experiences I want as experiences. And but I do need a new purse. But y'all, myself ain't gonna let me buy that purse. I just feel like I ain't done what I needed to do yet. So I'm keeping myself together. You're enjoying your purse?
I am, but it's a designer purse, so I don't wear it anywhere. It's only for like special occasions. So
No, you bought it. Reward is
about it, yeah. So, but I'm enjoying it. It actually led me to buying more stuff like that. Because you deserve to treat yourself. You work hard, and I was just thinking of all the years of me being in the hair industry. I never really treated myself like how most stylists they gonna go buy them designer bag, shoes, or whatever, and I never was that type of person. So here I am, almost 25 years later, finally treating myself to something nice.
and that's it. I gotta get to that point more often. But I collect experiences, and I should do more tangible because when it's time to get ready to go out and you need to nice things, I find myself like I ain't got nothing to wear, or that I you have to have a certain So I'm gonna do more. I'm gonna take my head out the clouds and do more. But that's usually my reward is experiences, and um, I am gonna get a bag, but it needs to be it's gonna be like a travel bag. So I'll let y'all know when I get it. When you see it, I met my goal.
Now, see, I ain't made it there yet. I want one of those travel bags, but I ain't ready to pay for one of them yet.
I just feel like you get the travel bag. We could go up from there.
Look, I ain't made it to the designer handbag yet, baby. I just like cute stuff. I got nice stuff, but I have yet to purchase my first like Louis or Chanel or so that will be one of my big rewards. I do want to do that.
And I bought a
It's
small
just
one.
something.
I didn't go buy, I really like the really big ones, but I'm what you can say kind of cheap when it come down to certain things with me buying certain things. So I just got me a little small one, and I'm trying to get there because I'm like you, Miss Cox. Whenever you get ready to go somewhere, you're looking around like, okay, what I got. And I'm one I like to eat, So I love to go try a different restaurant. I do like to travel, but sometimes it's good to look at your money. You know, memories are great, but it's good to say, okay, I did do this as well. So
Yeah, I'm there with both you guys, and I feel like I want a Gucci, but I want a certain one, and some people will be great with all the others, and that's amazing. I will, when I tell you, I have brought out a new coach. No, an old coach. I brought out an old coach, and I'm wearing that old coach like it's a new coach. And I said, this thing on this, and I looked at it the other day. I said, this is a great quality bag because all of the years I've had it, it looks brand new. And so I brought it out. I said, Coach has a rebirth. I don't have to go buy another coach. I have one. So I
got 2 of those on my list, Miss Cox. So that's confirmation. I got 2 coach bags on my list that I'm gonna get soon. So this thanks for letting me know that it's good quality.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the chocolate Rowan. I do want to add that, and I want the black baggie.
Yes, that's the one I want. With the
Let's go. We gotta get some goals. We gotta be really go.
That is so cute to me. I want that one in the Evelyn. I'm gonna get them this spring.
We're gonna get them. We're gonna get them. We're gonna work hard. We're gonna get them. And I don't care if I had that bag. I was telling my sister, I said, honestly, I had a dream that I went to Africa. And I missed my flight. I said, I must be gonna get ready to go to Africa, but I gotta make sure I don't miss my flight. My goals, my list is really trips. It's really life and experiences trips. And I'm gonna have my bag and that one suitcase, and I'm gonna be gone. So that is a goal. Once I finish the transition of from here to with our new beauty school university, and I get to rest a little bit, that's where I'm gonna be gone. It's like I dreamed I went to Africa. Maybe this is on the list, but we'll figure it out. I got to make sure that I'm on the right time schedule because I dreamed I missed my flight coming back home. So we'll figure it out. It's the good part, but it got to go all the way through. Learn book anxiety. Okay. Learn how to relax prior to studying. Never attempt to worry and study at the same time. Y'all, I talk to a lot of students about relaxing. I talk to a lot of students about testing. And honestly, some people overdo it. Some people get too antsy. Like, and I had one student, she went through the whole aesthetics course, got to state board prep, and she was asking basic stuff, and the whole class was like, uh-oh. She was asking, what is this? And I was like, oh my goodness. And we said, I didn't really have to say much, but my junior instructor said, if you hadn't been playing or servicing clients and not coming to school, we told her those clients got to come after school. You don't miss school and go service clients and then you come back. You're missing from what happened. And so she literally, in her holding period, 6 weeks, had to do a strong revamp of everything that she missed. And that young lady, she did pass her exam, but she credits it to she had so much doubt of, I don't know. And she really credited to, I passed it because I deep dive, but she was like, if I didn't deep dive, I wouldn't have passed it because she played around with her study time. She did more clients, but she, did anything. And it wasn't as easy as she thought it was going to be. So that particular young lady, she's in another school now for a medical degree, something in medical assistant nursing. She's saying she's taking it to another level. Her studying is top tier, rather than it being the last thing on the list for her to do. Never attempt to worry and study at the same time. That's going to cause that anxiety, and you'll be messed up before you left. I showed my mom a picture. I was in all white when I took my instructor exam. I think, no, it was my regular exam. It wasn't my instructor exam. I was in all white. And I think I used my mom as a model. But she took that picture and I said, Mom, I was so nervous. But when I got in, I had one prayer and I told the Lord, take the test for me. And literally, I got to maybe number 7. And that's when my thinking came on. Literally, I think God was taking the test for me. I don't know what happened. But I also had my high school full tech teacher behind me as well. And at the time, I did not know she was praying, but she had this stern look, like, don't look my way, don't say nothing. It was like you would have started crying how she was looking because she had to be stern. I passed it, but I told my mom. She said, "How do you think you passed it?" I studied, but I was nervous. But if I would have failed, just paused from fear, I would have never passed it. It was literally I felt just God and comfort just taking me on through there. And I told her, I said, I had already pumped myself up and said, you're already operating in that space. Only thing you gotta do is prove to these people and pass the test. Go get it. So I like psyched my own self out. And sometimes you gotta ask students just what are you looking for? If you pass this, what does it do for you? And sometimes I put that right in front of them, so they have no choice but to face it. And then you look at 5 failure behaviors. Again, my student would skip school. I didn't understand how you're paying for tuition and you skip school. Skipping homework, don't want to do any homework assignments. Skipping mental presence, they're there, but they're not there. Skipping relationships, opportunities to bond with others and instructors and other trainers, and you don't do that. And skipping town. Woo. I had 2 students to go to the Beyonce concert, 3. Only 1 finished out of that 3. And that is so sad. I knew when they went to the concert that 2 were already behind on their tuition payments. And I said, man, it's going to be hard for them to catch up because when they come back, they're going to be back in arrears again. Those students never caught up. And not only were they behind in school, y'all, they got behind in their rent. You already know, car note, they got behind. I don't know how much Beyonce concert cost, but they went to Atlanta. So you can think about the expenses. So their experience, I'll probably never forget it, but it's like the world fell down a month or 2 after they got back. And so I literally tell students, commit, commit, commit. Okay. If it's not priority, family, school, business, you got to figure out something else. Okay. So skipping town. I had a young lady leave from Memphis and go to Chicago. Wanted to know what that looked like. Okay, you finish one program here, you go to Chicago. Chicago does not have that same licensure. So you go into Illinois, you have to start over. The student said, hey, I want to do a new program, sign the contract, 30 days. 30 days later, the student states, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. We're about to move to another state. I said, well, you're liable for everything that occurred in this 30 days when you were in another program. So with you being over here, you almost have to pay 90 days worth of tuition, all because you were kind of frickle in what you wanted to do. And she was like, ouch, that hurt. I'm sorry. It's business, it's business. Okay. But sometimes you just have to put it right there in front of their face. The skipping the homework, the mental presence. I don't know what they got going on at home, but when they're there, I do try to encourage them to keep going. Do this for your kids. So the things that they love the most, I would take that and I would put that right back in front of them and say, this is who you do this for. You don't do this for nobody else. You all came in separate. You're going to leave separate. Okay. And so I just try to put the things that they love the most back in front of them to push them past up here. Tips for study groups. And then we're going to move on. keep groups small, seek diversity, demand dedication, seek equality. Don't just invite friends, assign leadership. Okay, go ahead and pick particular. I need a leader. Maintain a rigorous formality, appoint a chairperson, and establish guidelines. If you're going to do study groups, you're going to have to lead with the details, because if you leave it up to the students, they're going to be all over the place. But they are also looking for direction. If you're going to do study groups, that means that these students are interpersonal. They don't mind mix and mingling with each other, but they want to also follow the guidelines. So you may say study groups are in groups of 4 to 5, but we'll have 3 groups of 5, okay? In that group, as soon as you get together, you need a group name. Once you do a group name, you need a group leader, okay? And then from the group leader, you're gonna need a writer. So you'll have a group name, a group leader who's gonna speak for everybody, and then you have someone taking notes. All right. And so that far, you just gave structure to the group. Now you just got to tell them what they're studying or what the assignment is. But definitely have some diversity. You know, you can break up the cliques. You can have them be with some pull strings, numbers, however, be with somebody they've never seen before, they never sat beside before, just to bring some freshness in. Okay, just to bring some freshness in. And you may have them be in groups all day, especially if you have a day dedicated to studying because you got a big exam the next day. I'm not sure. Or maybe the group is doing a project together. Okay, but definitely lead with some instructions for them. I'm going to pause at slide 19 when it comes to here, and then I'm going to jump on the study guide from yesterday. And so I believe that chapter 3, you have chapter 3, just finished the chapter 3 study guide. And let me find this from yesterday. I want to go over a couple of these. We'll go into like maybe 5:10. We'll pick up at 26. This study guide, Erica, goes with your chapters 1 through 3. And if it hadn't sent it to you, I'm gonna get it sent today. I have a ladies class right after here, but I need to pull her calendar together, make sure she can clock in and things like that. Let me pull up the answer key. And it has answer key attached to it. And y'all, we're just on a little disturbed ourselves, where our school moved from. It's a big crime scene over there, and I had all kind of students calling me, making sure I was good and stuff. So you're hearing the beeps in the background. That's just people checking in. I'm appreciative though. We're good. We moved out the hood. Let me see. Okay. At 26, as a master educator, your professional image must be imperfect, tarnished, impeccable, blemished. A, B, and D sound real bad. Okay. 26 is C, impeccable. You got to look like a master educator. So your professional image is very important. 26 is C. 27, putting yourself in the learner's place and understanding what has caused certain behaviors and actions is a quality called courtesy, compassion, consideration, or pity. 27 is B, compassion. Putting yourself in a learner's place and understanding what has caused certain behaviors and actions is a quality called compassion. 28. In our dealing with students to ensure fairness, harmony, freedom from variation, and steady continuality, we must practice compassion in the classroom, courtesy in the classroom, consistency in the classroom, or consideration. 28 is consistency in the classroom. 29, when we desire something and bring about an action to make that desire come into being, it is called motivation, a goal, a dream, imagination. 29 is motivation. When we desire something and bring about an action to make that desire come into being, it's called a motivation. 30, a group of peptide hormones that bind to opposite receptors and are found mainly in the brain are called endorphins. I guess this is protolyptic. I can't say that enzyme. I have to look that up. Bromelin, pepsin. So 30 is A, and I figure it was because the other one seems made up, but we will research those. 30 is A, endorphins. 31, master educators believe that they have the resourcefulness to transfer knowledge to the learner. The educator must also instill in the learner the same. So 31 is D, vision. 32, to help learning, to keep learning exciting, the master educator will use new ideas in delivering information, new activities for student participation, and new projects or assignments to reinforce learning and increase retention. If these methods are employed, it will ensure that students are too tired to return, that students return to class each day, teacher burnout, that the teacher will have no time for anything but teaching. All right. To keep learning exciting, the master educator will use new ideas in delivering information, new activities for student participation, projects, assignments to reinforce learning and increase retention. If these methods are brought about, we can ensure the students will return to class each day. So 32 is B. What is the question asking? It says, if we do all of this and we bring this aboard and we think like this and we do this, what could happen? The students will return to class each day. To keep learning, if you keep learning exciting and that the master educator uses new ideas, different ways that they deliver the information, new activities, you can see the common thread here. Keep it new, keep it exciting. You want student participation, new projects, new. Learning and increase retention. Retention means coming to school every day, okay, or returning. If these methods are employed, if we do this, it will ensure what? That students return to class each day. 32 is B. 33. Learning is a serious process. And if your students enjoy your learning style, they will more likely learn from you. Learning must never be compromised, though human nature dictates that learning can be fun. Adding humor to learning aids retention. Humor and laughter help people bond, or all of the above. 33 is D, all of the above. 34, effective communication is important to master educators because of the use of the tools when communicating, demonstration lectures, the diversity of their audience, and the largeness of the facility. 34 is C. Effective communication is important to master educators because of the diversity of their audience. Key is effective communication. What you're saying, you want to make sure you get it across to everybody. 35. In order to know how others perceive you, you must consistently self-evaluate, videotape lesson plans, practice vocabulary, or use PowerPoint presentations. In order to know how others perceive you, you must consistently self-evaluate. 36. Using blank really only sends the message that you are dissatisfied with yourself or lack self-confidence. Using humor, sarcasm, facts, ideas. Okay? It's B, sarcasm. Using that really takes you off course, okay? That's the only thing that you revert back to. And this is also the same thing they say about people who use a lot of curse words in their vocabulary, that they have nothing else in their vocabulary. When we talk about that, when you go into classrooms, you'll see the dynamics of 20 years ago has changed. Certain shows that I go to, and they have main stages, like IBS's premiere. I've sat in the audience and prepared to enjoy the training. The models will come out, the educators come out, and every other word was an F word. Every other word. Now, I'm not above cursing, probably mad that I can't curse, and I want to curse sometimes, but I don't know how, so I may be a little mad right there, but it's just the point of, if I'm there wanting to learn, you got to add some more vocabulary. Why are we in a professional setting, one of the biggest stages of somebody's life, and all I hear is cursing? And it's okay. Some brands say it's okay, but it just threw me, because I remember 20 years ago, the language, how you dressed, all of that. When you presented yourself at a trade show, you were on stage, it just was a different level of respect that you received and what you gave. So I tell people also, when I hear those side notes, I was like, oh, they may be empty and they need to get filled up. It may be empty with lack of information and things of that nature. 37. You can build and maintain a positive attitude by focusing on, I'm going to tell you again, remember you're teaching adults. And so that's one of my things with adults. I don't want to hear any, I know you're grown, but I don't want to hear any cursing in my classroom. That's just like a pet peeve. And any students that normally did, we would say, you owe me $1. We'll use the money at the end of the week or the end of the month to buy pizza. And some students will come in and give me $5 because they know they're going to say something they ain't going to say. Whatever, we just kind of make it fun. 37, you can build and maintain a positive attitude by focusing on changing the lighting in the classroom, putting off your responsibilities until another day, planning for the next week's activities, or doing what appears immediately in front of you. 37 is D. Doing what appears immediately in front of you. 38. A healthy self-esteem and blank are the spiritual seeds of happiness and success. Is it positive self-talk, a planned vacation, regular exercise, or a high-paying job? 38 is A. A healthy self-esteem and positive self-talk are the spiritual seeds of happiness and success. 39. A classroom environment that is well organized, pleasant, and conducive to education can only be accomplished when the educator uses arts and crafts, uses workbook activities, spends time in preparation, or shows videos frequently. And 39, what do we have for 39? C, spends time in preparation. Let's look at 40. To properly facilitate learning of the subjects covered in the course, the master educator will identify materials and equipment, have students figure out what materials are necessary for the subject, let students use the text to identify materials, let students ask each other for the materials to use. The question is, to properly facilitate learning of the subjects covered in the course, the master educator will. What will you do? You will identify materials and equipment. Students do not have to figure it out. You identify that in the lesson plan. 40 is A. 41. Student records must be properly maintained and current so that students will have reasons to take time off, receive relevant and timely feedback, receive tuition reimbursement, or complain about their grades. Student records must be properly maintained and current so the students will receive relevant and timely feedback. So 41 is B. 42. I'm going to go to 50. The master educator has an unlimited supply of information on hand to utilize. This overwhelming amount of material must be duplicated, organized, put in order, put in binders, or put on discs. The question again, the master educator has an unlimited supply of information on hand to utilize. This overwhelming amount of material must be duplicated, organized, put in binders, or put on discs. And the answer is organized. 43. When you create a confidential student profile, always follow school policies. Those established by oversight agencies and those established by the blank. Is it Federal Educational Rights and Privacy Act, Family Educational Rights and Parenting Act, Familiar Endowment Rights and Privacy Act, Privacy Agency, or Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act? 43, I don't think we've referenced that before, but the answer is going to be D, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. 43 is D. When you get this, just highlight it for one that we have not talked about. 44, student records include information on attendance, completion of objectives, class participation, all of the above. 44 is D, all of the above. 45, the master educator will provide a classroom that is a safe haven. It will be comfortable, safe, well ventilated, properly lighted, and filled with music, have vending machines, organized, have carpeting to prevent back pain. 45 is C, organized, okay? This classroom is a safe haven, it's comfortable, safe, well ventilated, I can breathe, it's lighted, and it's organized. 46, when preparing your classroom environment and making necessary adjustments, consider adult learner characteristics, the physical classroom, the seating arrangements, or all of the above. All of the above. You have to consider all of that. 47, before master educators begin the process of educating a learner, they will determine learner characteristics, patriotism, spirituality, responsibility. 47 is characteristics, of course. 47 is A. As a master educator, their spirituality, their who they sleep with, all that stuff that categorizes them in different categories, that is not our problem. Our major problem is let's come here and do what we're supposed to do. So I find sometimes that I've had, as a director, I've had Christian, and I'm a Christian believer as well, but I believe there's space and opportunity. If the Lord wanted me to share, I will share. But I do believe in a safe space for everybody. So it doesn't matter who they choose to become, whether they were born that way or not. To me, that doesn't matter. I have a space and responsibility to teach. And if space and opportunity opens up where they will be welcome for a conversation, motivation, whatever, we just kind of organically just let it happen. I did have a teacher, she had her Bible on her desk, and students were saying that every day they got a preached word. And I'm like, man, I love the preached word, but I had said, ma'am, you got to bring it back some. You got to remember, I know you're here for a reason and you're here for a great reason, but don't forget the objective. Come back to the light. You have to give them this, and then you cannot force something and make others feel offensive. So that was one issue. I don't know if you guys have had those experiences, but we had to draw all the way back, and I had to tell her, love the motivation that you have, but in this space we have to lead with what you came here for. And if the Lord opens up a door, if it opens up a sidebar, a student comes to you at the end of class, be it, okay? But we cannot forget that all because you get 2 believers and 19 others that do something else, you cannot forget the other 19. You got to make sure you take care of everybody. That was just a note if it has happened before. 48, if adult learners have had negative experiences in the past, they may feel blank about pursuing a new career, education opportunity, positive, apprehensive, confident, or productive. 48 is B. They may feel apprehensive. If they hadn't had a good experience in the past, they may be like, I don't know. 49, to improve the learner's techniques, the master educator will take advantage of the learner's blank whenever possible. Future goals, hard work, past experiences, or willingness to please. 49 is going to be C, past experiences. 50, keep adult learners involved in the learning process by recognizing their opinions, giving their ideas value, involving them in the learning process, or all of the above. And 50 is D, all of the above. All right. And so there's 100 on this study guide here. 50 is D, all of the above. Good job, guys. Good job, good job, good job. Y'all are in there. Good job. Y'all were in there. And this pertains to chapters 1, 2, and 3. It's a great study reference for that. Let me go here with DCI Cosmo, DCI instructor booklet. Real quick before I want to go real quick. Booklet not popping up. Oh, there we go. All right, making sure that we're back in our instructor booklet. Ms. Edwards, you weren't on yesterday, but we did record yesterday. If you want to go on our YouTube and check it out. Did you receive the notes, the voice note I put in?
Yes, I did.
I had that 16-hour training. We had one individual on there who actually does the grading for the instructor exam. And they kind of gave some quick tidbits about making sure you stay on course. So we're going to really hit hard about building up your lesson plans and things like that on that side. We're going to move into practicing for the state board theory exam. And then the practical component is just making sure that we lock down those lesson plans. Another thing she stated is, I know you guys are nervous, or sometimes you get nervous when you're going in. With the instructor exam, you will be teaching an empty room, but you have to pretend like there are people in the room. So one statement she said that really pulled me, she said, get the students involved. You have to say something to this matter, or you should. Hey, come up, come up and see me. Y'all come up and watch the demo. For me, when I went, I asked questions. Yes, I asked questions to an empty class. I said, okay, all y'all got your hands up. Jennifer, yes, that's correct. That's correct. Literally, I'm talking to myself in this classroom, but figuratively, I did it as I was doing it in a real instance. So you got to act like you're in a real classroom. So not just teach them. You get 30 minutes to an hour. That 30-minute mark is all that's required. You got to do your theory and your practical in there. Okay. So you can, what they are looking at, whatever's on their lesson plan, they're listening for it. All right. They're listening for it. So whatever you have on there, they said sometimes the educators are going left. They're not teaching according to plan. So that means we need to practice. So we need to lock in a couple of lesson plans, okay, that you may get chosen. Just lock in a couple of them, and then we need to start practicing them to make sure we're familiar with the route that we're going to take. Let's see. And if you have this guide, I may do a video going through this guide again, but that may be like Thursday or Friday of that nature. But if you have this is what we're going back over for next week, along with our chapter 4 and our finishing chapter 3 to going into chapter 4 and our other study guides. Okay. So that's what we have. All right, ladies, I'm getting ready for my next class. Y'all go ahead and review, finish watching the PowerPoints, check your emails. I'm about to send this study guide, chapters 1 through 3. Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Cox, I got one question before you get out.
Yes.
For this instructor theory content outline, this is what